Okay, guys and girls, I'm going to shoot a new video of this Falcon. 1967 Falcon. It is a 302 mild, disc front brakes, 5-speed transmission, 8.8 rear end with a 4-link. And I've never really shot the underneath of this car, and I've had a ton of people ask. And it's not a show car. It's definitely not a show car. It's a cruiser. It was done, it looks like the paint was done a fairly long time ago, but it's a driver, you know. It's had a ton of little stuff done to it. You can see this wheel lip needs a little work. There's a little dent around the gas cap area there that needs to be worked out. Other than that, it's not too bad, but I want to shoot, it's gonna take me a second here. I want to shoot the underneath because people were asking about the floors and frame rails. Okay, the frame rails appear to be very solid. You know, they appear to be in good shape. Now this thing's had, the rear end has been modified, as you can see, and it has a 4-link underneath it. And I had talked in a previous video about there was a little bit of a little odd popping noise in a bind. It don't do it if you're driving around just normal, but when you would get the rear end in a bind, it would make a little bit of a strange noise. And I figured out it's a rubber bushing, and so you're gonna have to address that at some point. It is drivable. As you can see, the floors were actually in good shape, and then they clearly modified some of the rear floor, and the bracing is in good shape, but that could have been done because of the 4-link type setup, or it could have been done because of rust. I truthfully don't know, because the rest of it looks okay. So in the frame rails, anyways, so there you go. And it does have, you know, like I said, disc brakes and rack and pinion steering, but the front frame rails, the rear frame rails are in good shape. Go ahead and show you the motor there. Little car runs good, sounds good. Like I said, somebody did a lot of little subtle, the 4-link, you know, the Willwood disc brakes, the rack and pinion steering. It does not have power steering, but it is also not very hard to steer. But if you can see, you know, a lot of work was done on this thing. The shock towers are solid. Like I said, the front frame rails down there are real clean and nice. For all of you people asking for, now the wipers, the blinkers, the gas gauge, it has a you know, they did the door panels in this sheet metal. The carpet's been replaced, the headliner's been replaced, but the headliner's coming apart at the back a little bit. It's a 5-speed manual transmission. The windows roll up and down nice. The speedometer is a little off due to the gears, but the aftermarket gauges work and the gas gauge works. Speedometer works, but it's a little bit off. The wipers work. It's actually a neat little car. Somebody at some point did a lot of stuff too, so I guess that answers your questions. The people that have been asking to see the floors and stuff, the rockers look good. Bottoms of the doors actually look nice. So again, it was kind of hard for me to tell whether that floor work had been done, anything to do with the 4-link and stuff like that, and modifying the seats, because, you know, the driver's seat is power, the passenger seat has power back but manual front. As you can see, the rockers are in real good shape, and the bottoms of the doors, the front frame rails, shock towers, the rear frame rails. Something went on back here a little bit. You see they put a little primer or something on there. But You know, I'm assuming it's got aftermarket axles. Somebody could have just stuck some stickers in there. Like I was telling you before, the blinkers all work, the brake lights, the power seat is hooked up. This one is power the back and forward to back. Has tilt wheel in it. It just a cool little car and a neat little cruiser, you know. And the radio, like I said, works. It's got that modern, some of that modern nonsense on there. Whatever, you know, the stuff my kid uses all the time to hook his phone into it or whatever. Anyways, cool little car. It's fairly warm today, and it actually seemed to stay around that 180 mark. I'm not sure I even seen it hit 190 today when I drove it down the road, and I drove it on the highway and drove it to town. Anyways, so cool little car. 1967 Falcon V8, 5-speed manual transmission with a 8.8 rear end with a 4-link setup on it. And like I said, if I get time, I'll see if I can hunt down these bushings if I have time to do it. I'm really, the reason I got the car out of the shop and out of the corner is I'm actually going to start driving this car and letting my son drive it a little bit. I've been getting a fair amount of action on my shop truck, and my kid gets up at 5 o'clock every day and he drives that thing to work. And then I've been using it at night to pick up parts and pick stuff up, and we run around in it. But this little guy, I don't see any reason why it can't be driven daily. Like I said, minus it, you know, those bushings are going to have to get replaced at some time. If you're driving it normal, you really don't notice it. I figured it out when I was in a tight, real tight turn, moving it in the shop to the corner. It actually is when I figured it out. If you wrench on the wheels all the way the one way and you let out on the clutch a little bit, it's got a little play in the 4-link. So like I said, you have to address that. But there's the pictures of the floors you've been asking for, and the subframe and the shock towers and all that stuff. Just a neat little cruiser. The price will be in the still ad. Has good title, obviously. VIN tag on the VIN on the car matches. There you go. 1967 Falcon V8 5-speed 8.8 front disc brakes. Thank you.